Yeah, what is a cloning? All right, no worries.
Creating the same
So
thing.
if we just Google it, simple cloning. So the process of producing the digital. Oh, okay, okay. Not meaning, not literal meaning. Okay, identical copy, right? Instead of organism, cell and organism, we can leave because we are doing the work with the computer science, right? So कितना गंदा मीनिंग, ये हिंदी क्यों बता रहे हैं इंग्लिश? ओके, replication or okay, my bad. Replication or general, it's like identical copy, to create a identical copy, right, from something that we already have. That process is called cloning, right? Is that clear?
Yes.
All right. So we already have, let's suppose if I have a student object, right? A student will have a private string name, and it will have private int roll number, right? Let's suppose it has only two details, right? And over here I can have the setters, getters and setters. All right. So even I can add all our constructor. So these are the so I've created a class with the setter, getters and constructor. So now in the runner, in each runner, what I can do, if I want to create a shallow copy, so this would be a student, right? A student equals to, okay, my bad, student, it would be again a student, right? And let me check. Okay, yeah, same student is there, right? Now I need to pass the variables, and it would be name and roll number. So let's say it would be Dikshita, and the roll number will be 1. All right, so this is the student that I have right now. Let me add the toString as well. If I run this thing, okay, my bad, sys out also I need to add, right? A student, to print the student. If I run this thing, so I will get the Dikshita, right? This thing we have already seen in all the sessions. So now I want to clone it, right? So one thing, which class is the parent class of all Java objects? Object class, right? Let's have a look in the object class. So in the object class we have already covered uh, get class we have used already, and equals we have used and seen in the string itself. Finalize we have used in garbage collection. Now you can see over here it's clone method, right? So it has a clone method, so that means the clone method is provided for every object, right? So let's try to create another student. Let's change the student name to Dikshita, and then clone Dikshita. Let's just print the clone Dikshita, right? So if I okay, I don't have to do this, right? So student, so Dikshita, okay, Dikshita, that, okay, clone. One thing, one thing is that I'm unable to access the clone method, right? Because it's a method inside the object class, right? It should be, it should be known to everyone why I'm not able to access this thing, because this clone method is protected. We have covered that in our last part, right? Protected, I cannot use outside directly. So what I need to do, I need to write inside the this method itself in the, okay, I need to write it, right? So I can access within the class only, because it comes in the child class as private method. So public, and then I need to return the student, and let's name it clone, right? And so if I'm naming it clone, okay, and so I can return, and the super dot clone, right? Super dot clone. All right, over here it is exception is thrown, but what I can do is, all right, instead of putting sneaky throws over here, Okay, just putting sneaky throws here. Okay, but the thing is we have to which exception is showing. Okay, my bad. I need to make sure it has been casted into student as well, because super.clone has object return type, right? But I need to send the student, so that's why I'll make it student, right? Now, okay, so have I used okay? Okay, if I'll just use over here at the rate sneaky throws, now it's cool, right? Cool. So okay, over here, all right. So I can print the clone Dixita. Will it work? Anyone away? Okay, let me ask first, right? Without asking question, anyone having any knowledge of cloning? Okay, cool. No worries. So I'll not ask the question, then I'll teach itself, right? So the thing is, I am audible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, cool. See, it seems fine, right? Because this clone method is in the parent class. So the super.clone I am trying to access, and it's having an exception that we haven't covered. That's why I'm using sneaky throws. Never use this thing, right? And I'm only for the teaching purpose. This is useful. Otherwise, never use this thing. All right. Giving said that, the clone method is in the parent class object of this class is the parent class of all the Java objects. So it will also, whether we write this or not, it is like this, right? So whether write it or not, everything is fine. So we are just trying to access the super.clone method, right? What can go wrong, right? Yes, what can go wrong over here, right? It will work, right? If I try to run.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we are going to get an exception. Class not supported exception. Because the thing is, we haven't covered the interfaces right now. So there are few interfaces called the marker interfaces. This thing I'm covering over here, I'm not going to cover that in the interface part. So I mean, I'll let you know there are different marker interface. What is a marker interface? Marker interfaces are interface which I will just extend, implement, and I will get some property, right? I will get some behaviors and properties, but I don't need to implement any method. Like for example, this throws a class not supported, clone not supported exception, right? So why it is the case? If we'll try, okay, it's a lot of data, right? So let's ignore. Just simply implements clonable. Clonable is a interface, right? It's a marker interface. Okay, let me check whether it's okay. It's not written marker interface, but cool. Marker interfaces are interfaces with no methods, right? Like this one. When I'm using this, I don't have to implement any method, and I get the benefits of a interface as well. So if I implement clonable, because it has no method, so I don't have to implement anything over here. No override. I don't need to override anything. But the thing is, now if I run it, now I have two Dikshitas, right? So this is the first thing. If we want to use the Java clone, the clone method of Java, our class must be clonable, right? And it has no loss, because if I want to implement, I can implement n number of interfaces, right, in one go, because multiple inheritance is allowed in terms of interfaces, but not with classes. So when I'm implementing clonable, so it's completely cool. I can extend the class and I can implement other interfaces as well. So that's the first thing. If I want to use the clonable clone method of the object class, my class must be implementing the clonable interface, and that would be the marker interface. All right, this is the first thing, right? And we need to see as well, right? This Dikshita and this Dikshita should be two different entities, right? And right now we are just printing, normally just printing the values. If and instead of toString, so I'm removing this toString, and I will implement my toString on my own. Why I'm printing it? Because I want to see an additional data as well, right? I want to see hash code as well, and to see the hash code, what I need to do, I need to call the hashcode method again. Again, from where hashcode method comes? Hashcode method comes from the object class, right? So okay, I don't need to end it, and I need to add plus. Cool. So the hash code needs to be different, right? If two objects are different. So if I run this again, the hash codes are different, right? So this provides us the data that a new object has been created. So this hash code is created by using the memory reference of the object as well. Cool. So that's how we know that these two objects are different. Any doubt over here? Hello?
No doubts.
Alright, thanks. Now the thing is, why? Oh shit, my bad. It's not deep cloning, it's shallow cloning. Okay, let me just change the package, right? It's shallow cloning. It's a part of shallow cloning. And why shallow cloning, right? We have just seen now how to clone, right? If I had a Dikshita, I want to create a clone Dikshita, so I am able to do this by using the object. We're using objects clone method, right? But the thing is, to use the object clone method, my class must implement the clonable interface, right? And the clone method is protected, so it will be a part of the access modifiers. Alright, so why we cannot use object class clone method directly? So that would be because it's protected. These things need to be clear first. Now the thing is, what's the meaning of deep cloning and shallow cloning, right? So for example, now a student was an object, right? All primitive data was there, right? So this data was cloned. Alright, let's for example, it has the object of teacher, private teacher and teacher, right? And we can create a object of teacher as well, teacher, and let's say that the teacher will have a name, teacher will string name, and instead of roll number, teacher will be having ID. Okay, and teacher employee ID, let's say. Alright, so over here we can add getter, we can add setter. Cool. And we can add all our constructors as well. So let's move over here in the teacher. So I have teacher as well in this, so my toString needs to be updated. Now I have teacher as well, so let's say the teacher, and I will have the teacher object printed over here, right? And then teacher I need to then implement. Okay, but now I will implement, okay, my bad, toString with these two, and then I will add the hash code as well. Alright, so now, okay, teacher object is there and all our constructor is there, so I need to create a teacher as well, right? Now teacher, and let's say teacher, okay, now right, teacher, and okay, Prashant is the teacher, and over here the name will be Prashant, and employee ID of the Prashant can be 1001, right? So this is the teacher, and eventually I need to pass the teacher as well, right? If I run this, now see, Dikshita, this is the primitive data type, right? I mean, the string is an object and roll number is a primitive. The hash code are different. That means the memory to these two objects, these two data is different, right? Because these two are instance variables, right? So I know that, okay, because of these two, the memories are different. But come here at the teacher level. Teacher level, you will see both teachers are same, right? Is this visible?
Yes, yes.
So both teachers are same. So if I go to the student class, so these two instance variable get its own memory space, right? But the teacher object is not cloned, right? These two has been cloned, but this teacher has not been cloned, right? Because the teacher object is the same, right? So that's the difference between shallow cloning and deep cloning. Shallow cloning means that only the primitive data types or the wrapper classes, only those will be created new, right? And if I have to point anything other than the object, if I have some object pointing to the heap, I will use that same object like of the teacher. I'm using the teacher object, right, directly. So that's the difference between shallow cloning and deep cloning. In shallow cloning, the objects inside the class is not again cloned, right? In deep cloning, this teacher should have been cloned also. Got the difference? Or have any
Yeah.
confusions? All right, cool. So see, so one thing we know that the Dikshita.clone that has been provided by our parent class provides shallow cloning, right? So the default type of cloning that is provided by Java is shallow cloning, right? Right, because it's not creating the internal objects again, a new memory for internal objects, right? Because these are same. So now we will move into the deep cloning, right? So that means we have to take things on our own hands, right, to do the deep cloning. So there are different ways to do the deep cloning. Okay, so same thing we will do, student. Okay, let's just copy paste things, right? It would be better. Okay, inside the shallow cloning, let's copy paste this and put it over here. All right, so we have to create Dikshita anyhow, right? And then this thing, instead of cloning, we need deep cloning, right? So we need deep cloning. So if I want deep cloning, deep clone. So in the deep clone part, there are different ways that I can achieve the deep cloning. See, the one thing would be that the student cloned, I will get the shallow cloning, right, directly by this, by super, one way. What I need to do eventually then, okay, cloned student, right? So if now the teacher object is there, right? Teacher object has not been cloned. So what I can do, I can simply use new teacher, right? So I can create an object of teacher here. Teacher clone teacher equals to new teacher, and inside this I can use teacher dot get name and the teacher dot get employee ID, right? And in the clone student, okay, cloned student, I can simply set the teacher, the clone teacher. Visible? Now if I'll use the deep cloning, now clone Dikshita, and let's change it to shallow clone Dikshita, shallow clone Dikshita, and deep clone Dikshita. Alright, so if I print them as well, now see the difference. See, this one, the very first one is the normal student, right? And if you'll see the next one also, the objects are different, right? So the entire student object is different. Now let's look at the teacher object, right? In the Dikshita and the clone Dikshita. Okay, why it is same in this? Oh, my bad. Okay. I have written the code in the wrong manner. Wait. Okay, one thing, deep clone and student dot clone. All right, cool. Now it will be good. Yes. I have used again normal clone only, right, for deep cloning. That's why it was an issue. So now the Dikshita, right? So Dikshita, you'll see that entire Dikshita objects are different. Now we will see the teacher object, right? For the Dikshita and the shallow clone Dikshita, the teacher object is same, right? But for the deep clone Dikshita, the teacher object is different. Visible?
Yes.
So this is the difference between deep cloning and shallow cloning. Now when you look at the production code, usually this thing is not recommended. But because we want the fine grained control over there, so we'll create the student object as well, and we generally use this thing, right? I mean, there is a design pattern called how many types of design pattern you know? Creational design pattern. Okay, cool, no worries. The builder design pattern we use if you want to clone, because it makes the creation, at least cloning part, it becomes easy because we need to just use a dot operator. So in the production you will see the builder design pattern to be used, and we will be creating the object by using builder design pattern and not by using this thing, right? But you can use this also if you want, but in production we don't usually clone first, shallow clone first, and then put the objects to make a deep clone. So that's how things work in the production. Cool, no issue, right, in between these two cloning part. So the question usually comes in this manner only, right? What's the difference between deep cloning and shallow cloning first? Then you need to provide the answer. In deep cloning, only the products, only the primitive data types and the reverse classes gets the extra memory. But if there is any objects pointing to the heap, that thing will not get cloned. So that thing will not get the new memory, right? Because I'm going to point it to the same heap reference, right? Like it's here. So if there is an object pointing to the heap, no new memory will be provided. I will point it only that particular heap area. But in the deep cloning, entire data will be cloned again. So there will be no reference to the object or its cloned item. Like for example, if I'm cloning a sheep, then okay, it's for example there was a sheep, right? Sheep 1, and sheep 1 has a parent sheep, right? Mother sheep. So if I'm doing shallow cloning, then what will happen? Then it will be a clone sheep and a normal sheep, right? Both will point to the same mother sheep, right, as a mother. But in this will be part of shallow cloning, right? And then if I'm doing the deep cloning, then the difference is that the sheep 1 will point to the mother sheep, and the sheep 2 will point to the clone mother sheep, right? This is how things happen. Cool. So that there will be no difference. Right now what will happen in the shallow cloning, that if I change the mother sheep to, let's say for example, if I change the clone sheep mother to be the mother sheep, instead of mother sheep I'll make it, okay, let's for example mother sheep name is sheep 1. Cool, sheep 1. So let's example, if I have passed somewhere the clone sheep and someone operated on the clone sheep and changed the name of the mother sheep, right? And it changed the sheep to crow. So right now if my object is deleted, this clone sheep has been deleted, then to my sheep 1 will have updated name of its mother, right? And then that should not happen, right? So that's why this is the difference between these two. So whenever we need to pass something, we never pass shallow cloned object. We always tend to pass the deep clone object until unless the object that we are creating, the cloning of mother sheep is way too heavy and we cannot do it. So again, usually we never pass deep cloning. If it's not possible, if deep cloning is not possible, we'll try to break the object somehow. We'll try to manage and pass the shallow object only. And this goes to the spring and hibernate as well. In the hibernate there are states of the objects. So if you want to play with an object that has been associated with the hibernate and has a state, some of the hibernate states, so we don't want it to be played with, right? We don't want someone to update the object. So over there also we share the deep cloned object, not the shallow clone. Because it might, if the clone shape tries to be, if I try to save the clone object by changing the mother sheep name, then in the database mother sheep name will be updated to crow. So deep cloning and shallow cloning is important, not very much, but it is important. All right, clear? Shallow and deep cloning. Hello?
Yes.
Alright, cool. Now let's move to the string manipulation immutable classes, right? You have every knowledge. Let's suppose I have a class student. Okay. Now you people will tell how can I make sure that this class is immutable, right? And I will just make sure I will not let you okay. So this thing has a string name, right? Student will have a name, right? And the student will have a integer roll number, right? And I will just add setter. Okay, instead of writing it here I'll just write setter and getter. Cool. And I will add a constructor. I will add a constructor. Cool. And I will add a Noah constructor as well. Cool. So this is a student object, right? Everyone please see it again. Let me make it small. So I have two variables. I have setters and getters for these two variables, and I have constructors, right? One Ola constructor, one Noah constructor. Okay. So I want to make this class immutable. You all are aware of what is immutable, right? Please let me know if anyone is not aware of immutability. Okay. I'm asking again if someone is not aware. So please let me know if one is not aware of immutability. Okay. Okay. A string is a mutable object, right? That means if I have created an object, the value inside the string cannot be changed. So if I want to change, if I have created a string, so let's say I have created a string name equals to new string, and over here I have written Dikshita, right? So the thing is I cannot change the object name, right? There is no way to edit the name Dikshita. Now what I can do, max what I can do, if this object needs to be updated, see we have covered this in the last session also. If I want to add Dikshita and then let's just, okay, I don't know her full name, but let's say, okay, then the Paramita. Okay, let's say Naresh then, right? So if I'm taking Naresh as the name, then I need to add the surname as well, then I can add eventually the MK, right? And over here I can say it Naresh, right? But the thing is, this original Naresh which used to have a memory in the heap, like for example 989898, now the Naresh and concat, right? It will not update the Naresh object, it will create another object. Let me show you as well. If I print Naresh will still be Naresh only. Okay, let me just comment it out. Naresh will be Naresh only, right? When I concatenate it, so a new object has been created, Naresh with surname. Cool. And then if I print the Naresh with surname, then you will get Naresh MK. Visible? So the original string that once have been created cannot be modified. If I created an object, it cannot be modified. It's called immutable. Mutable means it can be changed. Immutable, it cannot be changed. So that's the thing with the mutability and immutability. So if I created a student, for example, now if I created the student over here, let's take the example of Naresh only. So if I created an object of Naresh and it has the roll number 101, and it will have the teacher as well. Okay, let me just copy it over here, immutable class, and I will add as a model. In the model I will add the student and I will add the teacher as well, and inside the model I will add the teacher as well. And cloning teacher not required, and teacher also cool. So student is taking teacher is also from the middle model, cool. And in the runner, okay, the runner is student. Okay, also student. Let me delete this student. Oh, my bad. Okay, my bad. Let me bring back this student. Okay, the student I have created, so let's just copy paste it. Okay, and okay, let's just remove this, let's just remove this, let's just remove this and put it here, right? Okay, name and roll number will be same, just need to add getters and setters here, and constructor also. We'll remove this, constructor and this, and now everything is fine. I can remove these things, right? All right, so now I have, okay, can delete this as well. Now I have a runner where I have a student, right? Naresh, I want to create a student and roll number will be 101. Now I need a teacher object as well, right? Teacher, let's say Prashant will be the teacher, new teacher, and teacher will have a name Prashant, and it will have a 1001 employee ID, and I will add the Prashant over here. Cool. Now I need to make sure that this student once created cannot be changed. Okay, am I clear? Anything that I have written over here, right, these values cannot be changed. In the string also same thing happens, right? Whatever I have created the string with, it cannot be changed. So same thing I want it with the student as well. And it's a very very common question, especially for the experienced people having more than 2 years. All right, start. What should I do? Please hurry, because I don't want to stretch it, because it's a long answer, so multiple points needs to be covered. All right, I'm giving just 10 more seconds, right, to think till I'm writing this thing. If okay, toString method needs to be updated also, right? Okay, it's already updated, right? See, object has been created, right, with Naresh, roll number 101, and the teacher Prashant, employee ID 1001, right? So I need to make sure that these values cannot be changed, right? So no one is having any guesses or input. I'm audible, right? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, it's bad thing, because there is nothing new that we are going to do. It's almost same, right? See, this was the original student, right? So I'll just duplicate the sys out, and simply if I just make the student dot and then the name. Okay, wait, the student. Okay, my bad, and teacher, my bad. All right, so if I just directly do the student, I get the student dot name. Why am I unable to get the name again? Okay, no need of this as well. Oh shit. Okay, my bad. Why I am importing? I don't need imported classes. Okay, immutable class I want. Student also I want from the immutable class only. Yes, right. Now what's wrong with the student? Okay, this is fine. So the student object, which is of the model, this. All right, so when I want this, why this does not make sense. The student object is there, right? Student is this. Okay, then student dot name, not get name. Why it's okay, ABC, let's say do ABC, and why it's showing error? Oh shit, my bad. To make sure this thing happens, I need to, okay, I'll have to, Okay, instead of cloning, I have added this thing in model, right? Student and teacher. I need to put this thing out. You can delete the model for now. Yes, now it's ABC, right? And student dot roll number, and let's say 909, right? And it's not a string, it's integer, right? So if I run this again, okay, I need to add the toString as well. ToString. These three I want, but I want one more data. I want the hash code. I want the hash code, right? For a student as well, and for teacher as okay, teacher already there. Cool. So let's run it again. So see, earlier the name was student was Naresh, right? I was able to change it to ABC, right? And roll number was 101. I was able to change it to 909, right? So is this immutable? Hello?
No.
This is not
No.
something of immutable, right? So that's
Yeah.
why what I can do, I can make it private, right? These variables, I can make them private so that it cannot be accessed directly outside the class, right? So if I go again to the runner, now if I try to run the same code which had made changes earlier, now I will get the error, right? So the first thing to make a class immutable is its variables should be private. Cool. One thing. So we'll write those things here. Private variables. Cool. So the next thing what I can do, okay, so I cannot use this thing, right? Name ABC. But the thing is, even if it has private variable, then also I can use setters, right? And set roll number. And roll number, right? 909, right? Now if I again run this, again my Naresh has been changed to ABC, right? Is this the characteristics of immutable class?
No.
So that means the setters also not required, right? So I will find all the setters and I will remove all the setters. Alright. So now if I try to run, then there will be no setters, right? No methods of setters. So private variables, next point will be no setter methods. Cool. Alright. So the thing is, now I am not able to change the object, right? I'm unable to change the object right now, but is there any other way that I can modify the object anyhow? Hello, I'm audible? Any other inputs? These two things we have already covered, right? Any other inputs? Okay. All right. So one thing that I can do, if this is a student object and I have these variables as a private and these setters also as a private, if somehow I will able to inherit these values, if somehow I will able to inherit these values, like for example there I create a my student class which extends the student object, alright, and then what we can do is, okay, simply if I try to public void and set, and over here, okay, get name, because I have private, it student has a private access, right? Private access, these values won't be visible to the child, right? Hello, am I right?
Yeah. Yes.
All right, but what I can do, it's good if it's not there, right? But I will create my own the setter and the getter. I am putting the setter and getter over here, right? So in my runner, what I can do, my student and my student equals to new my student, right? And it's extend the student class, right? And then what I want to do is simply I can simply write student dot set, okay, my student, my bad, my student dot set name, and let's say Naresh, right? My student dot set roll number 1001, right? Visible? So let me add in my student, okay, toString as well, right? Visible? And now just add my student, right? If I run this code now, name and roll number here, right, for my student, right? Can I do this thing that student, okay, and child student equals to and my student? Is it possible? Parent class reference variable can hold child class object. Is it possible? Hello? This was the most important concept, right, in the entire Java. Why and not anyone is able to answer this thing? If you don't know overriding in Java, you are not hireable, not even as a fresher if it's a product based firm. So if no one is able to answer this question, so it does not make sense, right? We have given 2 days for this topic. What's the difference between this and what's the difference between student and let's say s2 equals to new my student? It's same, right? Because this is the object of it, this is the object of my student, and my student is a child class of student, right? So the parent class reference variable can hold child class object. We have covered this was the most important thing, right? All right, this can be done. So if no one is studying these topics, so we can close the thing, right? I can complete the course within 15 days as well. So why we are taking breaks if no one is, I mean, no one is doing the practice of the previous concepts? Can we do all 7 days classes straight? Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Can we do the all weekdays classes, all days, 7 days a week? So it will end the session earlier. I mean, okay, I will be able to end the session earlier. Okay, why calendar, why, where are you? So we are at November 2nd, right? So we will be able to end by 23rd. It will take the entire week. Can we make it 9:30 for entire week?
No.
No.
See, the entire thing is, see, we have been doing all the interview questions, right? These are not something that no one is going to ask you. At least overriding, take it seriously. Overriding, everyone should take it seriously, right? It's not something you can leave, because the object oriented programming is not going anywhere. So if you'll be in the IT for next 10 to 20 years, then OOPS and functional programming is trying to I mean, not trying, but is almost inside every paradigm because of multi-threading. We'll see in the later sessions, but it's along with the OOPS, right? Now we are merging different paradigms of language. So Java is not just OOPS language, right? It's functional as well after 2013 when it introduced after the Java 8. So you require this thing, right? No matter where you go, whether you want to be some Python developer or PHP, whatever you want to learn, OOPS will be there. All right. Okay, given said that, okay, this is possible, right? So if I
Yes.
print this child student, right? So somewhere, someone if expecting the student class, I am passing my child student class over there, right? So at the last, see, the child student is getting, right? Because child student toString method is printing, right? So what if I just remove toString method from here? Okay, okay, not student, from the child, from my student. Okay, toString method, if I just remove, now if I run again this, see these null values, right? Visible? Visible?
Yeah,
Yes.
yes,
I'm
yes,
having
yes.
null values, right? So it should not be allowed, right? One way, one thing for the student class is the value should be initialized, right? So I have initialized my over here. If you see the runner, what we can do, the my student class I have created, right, with narration this, and still when I'm printing it, it's empty. This is wrong, right? Because I can pass it as a normal student class object, right? If some methods wants a student class object, I can pass it, right, directly like this, and its values will be every time null, right? And it will make no sense, right, to send this thing null, null, and null, and I can pass this thing, right? It's child student object. Okay, wait. If there is some method that takes public void and print student, right? Print student, right? And I want student object. I want student object, student, right? I can directly pass this student as well, right? Because this is the child. This is the child class, right? I can, the parent class reference variable can hold child class object, right? So this will hold true over here as well, right? So I can just do the print, not spring. Okay, I need to make it static. So I can do the print student, and then my student, I can pass it here normal student as well, print student, right? I can pass the normal student as well, which is a student object. I can pass the child student as well, right? Child student also I can pass, right? And over here I can print the student, right? So you can see that one student is providing the values, another one is not providing any value, right? Null and those things. So this is the thing. Over here the things will go wrong, right? Someone can inherit my class and then pass it in my general methods, right, by changing some values over there, right? So what else I need to do? I need to make sure that my class cannot be inherited, right? So and how can I make sure my class cannot be inherited?
Final.
Right. Now if I try to run this thing, there will be an error, cannot inherit, right? If I cannot inherit, I cannot pass it, right? I cannot override, use the override thing, right? So this thing won't work. So my student, I need to remove this. So now the my student has no use case, right? So I can delete it, and over here again. So the next thing that we need to do would be the final
Final.
class should be final, right? See the string class, right? Don't take it from me, right? String class is the final class, right? You can Google it. Over here if you come, it's a final by default, right? And you should try to see any setter. You're not going to see any setters, right, over here. Okay, normal set method if you try to see, you will not see any setters over here, right? And the next thing, you can see the field is private, right? And the field is also final as well, right? So that's where we were about to enter the final part. So the value we have already seen, right? It needs to be final. So we will go inside the student and make all fields as final, right? Final. So the field is final, so I need to remove the student test, right? All right. So clear till here? Why final? Why this final? Don't want the class to get extended, right? Otherwise, due to the overriding, some other child class can be able to pass, right? We will be able to pass the child class, so we don't want it. So that's why final here. And the final here, why? Just to make sure this value one set, and how we are setting the value using the constructor, right? So once the value has been set, there will be no possible way to change the value within the class as well. We have written the final, we have made this finals, and we have removed the setters just to make sure no one from outside the class can change, right? But by using the final, we made sure that no one from inside the method also cannot change, right? Because final keywords cannot be changed, right? We have seen this. If I try to write the setter over here, set name, this value cannot be changed, right? Like name equals to ABC. We have covered this in the final keyword. If you are any doubt, cannot assign value to final variable, right? So if you have any doubt regarding final, please go and check the final video of final lecture. Alright, I haven't uploaded it, so I will upload it now today. Cool. So one thing is final, right? So the variables I can also make final. Where am I? Okay, my bad. In runner. So final class, and over here also we can add final variables. Cool. And the next thing is, if somehow, right, so I cannot change this thing, right? Now we can think that this is, I mean, it's impossible to change the values, right? Is there any way to change the value inside the student class now? Okay, I don't want to be the bar, right? Is there any way to change the values of this student Naresh? Can I change in any other way? Alright, let's try to do one more thing, right? So the thing is, okay, these are the two values, right? These are the values that we have seen. Prashant 101, right? These things, we need to make sure that these two are same, right? So let's do one thing. In the student, yeah, we are in the student. Let's write a method, public void update teacher, and the teacher dot set name and string name and teacher dot string name. Cool. So if I say the student dot set, okay, update teacher, or it's better to set teacher name. Cool. So over here, if I write Pinky, so now you will see the teacher name from Prashant has become Pinky. Okay. So the thing that we have not covered in the teachers in the final class was how the final keyword for the primitive data types, it works with the value, right? It replaces the things with the values. But what with the objects, right? This is the object, right? With object, what it usually do, it makes sure that the value, okay, just give me 1 minute. Start the recording. Where were we? Okay, we have just changed the object of this teacher, right? I'm finding it hard to recall whether we have covered this in the the final keyword lecture or not, but I think we have covered the thing with this thing. I mean, if I'm pointing to the heap memory, right? So I'm pointing to an object, right? So I cannot make sure inside the teacher these values are not final, right? I have made what this teacher holds, what the value this variable having. I'm audible. Hello.
Yeah, reference for the object on the heap.
Yes. So this would, let's suppose this is the reference in the RAM, right? Or the heap, the logical name. In the heap, this is the reference, right? So what I have made final is the reference, right? That this variable will hold. So it will point to the same object until the end. I cannot assign a new object in the heap. This is what we have done, what I have done. So I just made sure that okay, if I want to access this thing, right, so I will just keep on pointing same object. But if I just change the value of that object, then the final keyword has no sense, right? And there might be a chance that this teacher object we are getting from some third party jar, so we cannot write over here, right? We cannot make change over here. So in that case, what can we do so that no one is able to change this thing, the values? Is simply, and also the thing is we need to pass the data, right? Teacher object also we need to make sure that they can get, right, get teacher. This thing I have done the internally, this change I have done internally, right? So in the getters, in the getter, instead of doing this, I mean writing the teacher name, simply I can do one more thing, that instead of doing this I can simply say the teacher, and the teacher equals to student dot get teacher, right? And I can simply say that okay, teacher dot set name, and then over here Pinky, right? This is how also I can do it, right? And it will be Pinky. Prashant became Pinky and we don't want it, right? So what else I can make sure, and this thing we have just learned today, right? The teacher will be shared as cloned object, because we need to give the teacher, right? Because the teacher might be, there is a chance that we need to process the teacher object, but we don't want it to be saved in our database if we are using the ORM, nor we want our object to change, to get changed if we are caching this object somewhere in the Java machine. So what the get teacher will not return if we have any objects, right? So any object will not return the value, I mean the reference. It will provide the shallow deep cloning. With deep cloning I will return the value side. And how we have achieved the deep cloning earlier on. Okay, so the teacher deep cloning required, right? So simply, okay, I will go, okay, it's clonable, right? Cool. Okay, the teacher is not clonable. Okay, so no worries, I will just create a new teacher object, cloned teacher equals to new teacher, and teacher dot get name and the teacher dot get employee ID, and I simply can return it, right? And why to write a new line? All right, now see but how it will impact, right? I'm changing the teacher name to Pinky, right? But still you will see the name is still Prashant, right? Because this teacher is the new teacher that I have shared. It's not the same teacher that the student is pointing to, right? Is it clear?
Yeah.
So the next part will be return decloned objects from getter. Cool. Private fields, okay, private fields, no setters, final class, final variables, right? Return deep cloned objects from getter. Cool. I'm audible?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. So this is how you can create your class to be
Immutable.
immutable. All right. So any doubts and anything that you think might might be used, or can we do anything else with this to make a class final? I mean immutable. So this is also important question. Okay, let's end the recording first.